will happen to the health of Iraqi people if the sanctions go on and on?
I think it will deteriorate more and more. We'll have a problem of infection, we'll have problem of malnutrition, and we will have problem of cancer. In my wife's family, about 6 members of her family died because of cancer. One of them is her mother, and the last one is her uncle, who is now under treatment because of lymphoma. A few kilometers from this area, in which in this family I have 2 brothers with lymphomas and a sister again with the same lymphoma, which is still alive. The 2 brothers died just a few years ago, and they got the cancer after the Gulf War. We diagnosed about 5 patients who are doctors. 2 of them are male doctors, and we got 3 lady doctors with breast cancer. They were resident here in this hospital. The chief medical officer of Basra, his son died because of acute leukemia. And another one in the Department of Preventive Medicine, Dr. Hisham, his son also died, and it was acute leukemia. And we were very sorry about these children. Just before the war, the Gulf War, we studied only 3 or 4 mortalities in a month. And now we are studying 30 or 35 patients dying in our department each month.
From 3 or 4 to 30 a month?
Yeah, that is 10 times the mortality rate increased. And we have 12 times increase in the mortality of cancer patients.
Wherever you go in southern Iraq, there is dust. It is in the streets, in school playgrounds. It gets into your nose and throat and eyes, and it carries the seeds of cancer. A hidden effect of sanctions is that Iraq is prevented from cleaning up its battlefields. During the Gulf War, the United States and Britain fired shells covered in depleted uranium, a source of radiation used in nuclear weapons. Professor Doug Rockey is a former U.S. Army health physicist who was assigned to clean up Kuwait in 1991 and himself became a victim. He has 5,000 times the recommended level of radiation in his body.
It was throughout all Iraq, in Kuwait, and also with the munitions testing and preparation in Saudi Arabia. So it covers the entire region. The contamination was extensive. The casualties were grotesque. You have probably heard of the term crispy critter. For the individual that's in a vehicle when it's struck by depleted uranium munitions, if they survive, I mean, they have burns and shrapnel, it depends, are they in the vehicle. But the ones that died, they are just literally burned to a crisp. The effect depends on whether a person inhaled it, breathed it in, ingested it, got some of it, eating it or drinking it with water or food, or if they got the uranium contamination into an open wound. If they did, then depending upon the amount that they had, what the possibilities are and what we're seeing now are respiratory problems, breathing problems, kidney problems, cancers.
The Atomic Committee of Iraq estimated the people which are polluted to be 40 to 48% of the population which were living at that time in the city. And all these patients might have cancer in their life, might be after 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years, or 15 years later.
So half the population?
Half of the population
have the
might
potential
have
of having
yes,
cancer.
yes, that's right.
unless the environmental cleanup is totally completed and the medical care is provided, the effects are permanent and lasting forever and ever and ever. That's wrong.
As doctors, we can't prove that depleted uranium is present in the body because we haven't got the equipment to detect uranium in the bone. And if we got these equipments, we might prove it.
You do not deny medical equipment necessary for assessment and care in the name of trying to force the government out. There's no doubt about how bad Iraq is and Saddam Hussein. But at the same time, the women and children have no control over what he does. The women and children can't change the government. The women and children are sick and dying, but they can't get medical supplies to provide simple medical care. That's wrong.
It is an epidemic, and it is, we could say it is like the Hiroshima's tragedy. It is repeated here.
Doctor, what do you say to those who say that it's not possible to prove the connection between depleted uranium contamination and the deformities of these children?
It is not true. There is relation between congenital malformation and depleted uranium. Before, we didn't see this at all. We see many congenital malformation and very strange things. I not see before at all. If there is no relation, why these things not happen before? And most of them, there is no family history at all. As in Hiroshima, increased percentage of congenital malformation, increase of a tumor, of malignancy, leukemia, brain tumor, also in our society increase in this percentage.
Before sanctions, did you have all the drugs that you would need?
Regarding malignancy, leukemia, every drug is available before economic section.
You had
Everything. Everything.
Why has the suffering of the Iraqi people been allowed to go on year after year? Is there another agenda? Smashing Iraq gives the United States greater control over the Middle East as the West expands across a vast new oil protectorate, stretching from the Persian Gulf to the former Soviet Union. Iraq may well be the blueprint for policing this new order with the weapons of sanctions and bombing. These sisters were among 6 children killed when an American missile hit the center of Basra in January last year. The sheer scale of the bombing of Iraq is a well-kept secret. Between May 1998 and January this year, the American Air Force and Navy flew 36,000 sorties over southern Iraq. That includes 24,000 combat missions. At this Christian monastery in the north, where St. Matthew is buried, the priests report constant bombing and the killing of people who came to watch last year's eclipse. The Royal Air Force's bombing of Iraq for 1 year has cost the British taxpayer more than £60 million.